This video is about Sikhi and feminism. Some might argue that this article opposes everything Sikhi stands for, because after all, is Sikhi not the faith of equity and freedom? But at the same time, we Sikhs must sift fact from fiction to establish which of our modern standards conform to Gurmat and which fall short irrespective of how emotionally appealing and utopian they might be. It is not a journey for the faint-hearted, and the flames of truth will forge a much more enterprising but also savagely dominant Khalsa. After all, the line between freedom and ferality is the same as the line between triumph and tyranny, blurred and seemingly absent though subtly present. Conversely, Gurmat endorses that freedom is a responsibility undertaken only by the valorous few, while ferality is the natural state of the human animal. Which side of the line will we cross to and why? It is our journey penultimately, and we will reap only what we sow. Feminism commenced as a rights movement for women on the freedom side of the line. It endorsed the logical conclusion that men and women had an equal stake in growing society, as without either parent a child was more prone to destructiveness, societal absence. It recognized the dissimilar roles of the sexes, but also their equal importance in terms of nurturing the future seeds of society. On the whole, first-wave feminists contended for the more realistic rights of obtaining a valid stake in socio-political and religio-political affairs, while refusing to forfeit their duty as mothers. Motherhood was their naturally divine prerogative, and not that of men, and through their endeavors they renewed its vitality in the eyes of their contemporary society. The devolution of feminism from a realistic rights-grounded movement into an abstract garbage dump of human ferality signaled the rise of a new epoch in which the sacredness of motherhood was denied and the primacy of the nuclear family dethroned. Subsequent generations of feminists crossed over the threshold from freedom into ferality, and lo and behold, we entered the generation of dim-witted idiocy where men are ignoble for exploiting the sexual organs of a female for their own pleasure, but at the same time a woman providing these services is exercising her feminist rights. While we would argue both men and women are at fault, hell hath no fury like a feminist scorned, and that too one who is confounded as to whether to earn easy profit by retailing her natural wares, or earning a honorable and dignified living. In a nutshell, current feminism is a cancerous aberration of its original form, and is a one-way route towards making our daughters prostitutes, all the while laced with dystopian tropes of some impending global femicide, engineered by all men in existence. W. Bradford Wilcox observes that the current feminist ferality arises out of weak or absent fatherhood. Stronger and present fathers will make boys into men while providing an emulative template for their daughters, who will seek the same virtues in whichever male they select to wed and have children with. Add a religious context and the father's responsibility increases tenfold. The sacredness and purity of the religion has to be upheld, and the children are oriented towards finding a life partner with 100% similar outlook. While of course woke liberals will cry foul and allege one of many imaginary phobias, the grim reality is that fanciful delusions of love melt away after the organs are satisfied, and the truth sets in that the interrelational disparity will breed confused offspring, lacking any distinct ideological grounding in who they actually are. More often than not, the woman's heritage is sacrificed on the altar of love. This conspicuous inequality, though, is resolutely ignored by today's hypersexed feminists. Who's to blame? God, society, community, school, technology, social media, or the quizzling fathers who would rather sell off their daughter's heritage and future for the more temporary pleasures of the moment? The weaker the father, the more disoriented the daughter. We humans are naturally wired to identify and attract opposites. While boys often share a profound bond with their mothers, girls share the similar bond with their fathers. The mother is well aware of the qualifiers that will allow her to wed her son to the most befitting woman. Similarly, a father is cognizant of what traits to identify in any future suitor for his daughter to ensure her lifelong happiness. Religion naturally provides an easier yardstick against which to adjudge any weakness, but only if the opportunity is taken. In the current scenario, feminist mothers seem more overjoyed to wed off their daughters to the latest model minority or freshest professional victim, We use this term very lightly. Community, given that their own experiential existence, too, has been one of both mental and physical prostitution. Damaged ships seek any port. Whichever port offers them shelter, they take. The inability to differentiate between Sikhi and Western cultural deterioration by first-generation Sikh migrants has furnished a generation of so-called Sikh feminists whose primary goal is to contort Sikhi to conform to their perversely twisted worldviews. One can easily deduce this from the outcry that resulted after Simran Kaur Ladli's song Lahudi Awaz rose to the top ranks of Punjabi music. The song translates to Cry of Blood in English and is an acerbic denouncement of feminism's devolution of womanhood into whoredom on Western lines. Given Ladli's own Sikh heritage, self-proclaimed Sikh feminists descended vulture-like on her social media accounts, accusing her of slut-shaming and femicide. Of course, more rationale individuals were left wondering whether the term slut-shaming was an apt description, given that Ladli was after all shaming self-proclaimed sluts. The irony, though, was lost on feral feminists. More ludicrously, Gurbani is constantly weaponized by these Sikh feminists to evade responsibility. Their ferality is justified with the below verse, "Women birth men, within women men are conceived, and to women they are wed. Women become their friends, and through women arise their future generations. When their women die, men seek another, and to women they are bound. Then why is she vilified from whom emperors are born? Women are born from women, and without women none can be born. Nanak, if anything, then only the true Creator is without women." Guru Granth 473. Comically enough, Sikh feminists have not realized that Guru Nanak in the aforementioned verse is solidifying his view that only women have the divine prerogative to give birth and none other. Out goes all talk of pro-trans Sikh spaces. Delusional Sikhs have yet to realize what Guru Nanak knew centuries prior. Only women give birth and not mutilated gender-dysphoric men. Digressions aside, let us see the two types of women Guru Nanak has identified. There is the fundamental woman, the mother, the caregiver, the leader in times of crises, and the mother of emperors. Contrary to what feminists believe, Sikh women did not solely pop out an heir occasionally. They also ensured they raised him as an emperor. We see this with the younger sons of Guru Gobind Singh, who were atrociously slain by Islamofascists. Their grandmother and stepmother repeatedly instilled in them the spirit of valor and sacrifice. More tellingly, the author and his forefathers were raised in houses where the womenfolk recounted to them tales of shaheeds, and how Sikhi was more purer than other fallacious and misleading faiths. This tradition seems to have ended currently, given that martyrdom sagas have been replaced with the retardation of BLM and the even more jeopardous insanity of unbounded liberalism, transordained self-mutilation, and open borders. The second class of women are the Arndya, whores. What does the Guru think of them? Thieves, adulterers, whores, and pimps make alliances with this unrighteous lot and be eaten by them in turn. They know no value of the truth and have devils forever in their minds. Decorate an ass with sandalwood, but it will still run to the dust. Spin a false thread and obtain a false cloth in turn. False the cloth, false the dimensions, and false the pride in such apparels. Guru Granth 790. What category do our Sikh feminists fall in today? Definitely not the one that any self-respecting Sikh mother would wed her son to. Maybe this is why they are attracted to the dregs of fallen communities. After all, who to value them but the equally feral? Damaged ships look for any port. They retain no loyalty after all. Why would our Sikh feminists? This was part 1 of the video. Part 2 will continue this topic in even more detail. The script for this video, however, was not written by me. It was written by the Sikh Renaissance. You can read their articles on Substack and listen to their podcast, which goes by the same name. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned.